I've been making Metroid content for a long time, and I've come across a lot of obscure bits of lore, development details, and theories throughout my research for my videos. So much of this information is genuinely fascinating, but sadly not every detail can be its own separate video. But I still want an excuse to just talk about some of these fun little facts and details. So I present you the ultimate Metroid iceberg. I don't know if the echo's gonna come through in post or not. I know, I'm late to the trend and all that, but this visual diagram is a perfect excuse to talk about some pretty neat Metroid facts. There are already a few Metroid icebergs out there, but I made this one specifically, and I'm going to explain each entry as we go deeper into the iceberg. And of course, you guys know how the icebergs work. As we go deeper down the iceberg, the information becomes more obscure and unknown. Although if you're a true Metroid gamer, then most of these entries should be kind of familiar to you. But I guarantee you there's a couple of things out there that none of you've probably heard of. Also, I have made dedicated videos for a few of these entries before, and there are a few entries I plan on making full videos for in the future, so I'm going to make a separate playlist if you're interested in a more detailed explanation. But of course, before we start, subscribe to the channel if you like Metroid content. Check me out when I occasionally live stream, and if you're interested in supporting the channel, feel free to join the membership. It gives you early access to videos, cool emotes, and a nice little badge by your name. With that being said, let's dive into this. Justin Bailey. In the original Metroid game on the NES, entering the name Justin Bailey in the password screen would allow the player to start the adventure as Samus without her power suit. Despite the misconceptions that the name was Samus's original name or some secret reference to the developer's wife, the code was generated out of sheer coincidence. There are many other codes out there that would load the game in the Zero suit, and the pink jumpsuit with the green hair is due to the player already unlocking the Varia suit, though this color palette of Samus would eventually be referenced in Samus Returns hard mode ending. Engage Ridley Mother Flucker. Another NES Metroid password, almost as infamous as the Justin Bailey code. Due to how the game code works, this password would generate an invalid starting location, resulting in the game crashing in most versions of this game. Similar to the Justin Bailey code, the fact that the letters spell out this phrase was purely coincidental, and just changing a few characters of the phrase will make this password playable. Narpass Sword. Another notable password code. However, unlike Justin Bailey and Engage Ridley, this code is considered the only true cheat code in NES Metroid. The code makes Samus invincible and gives her unlimited missiles. And even though I call the code Narpass Sword, it's been speculated that this code is called Narpassword, with NAR being an acronym for North American Release or Not a Real for Not a Real Password. Why can't Metroid crawl? On May 16th, 2013, Miiverse user PolyU posted the infamous question of why can't Metroid crawl? The post quickly went viral as an inside joke to meme about inexperienced gamers, and the joke was even acknowledged by Nintendo themselves. The same user would also post about his struggles with the red missile doors, but there is a happy ending, as PolyU was able to beat Super Metroid, posting the climax of the final boss. And I agree, Poly, the jellyfish is very helpful indeed. Ridley is a genius. Despite how monstrous and animalistic Ridley appears to be on the surface, Ridley is surprisingly very intelligent, as he is known as the cunning god of death with how deliberately vicious he tends to be when leading the space pirates. He is even capable of building a mecha version of himself, and is second in command to Mother Brain. I would really recommend reading the Kinda Canon manga to truly see how brutal he can be psychologically, but we will discuss about the manga a bit later in the iceberg. The Delano 7 in Corruption. After completing Metroid Prime 3 Corruption 100%, the player is rewarded with a cutscene of Samus being pursued by an unknown ship. Many fans recognize this ship as being the Delano 7, the same ship owned by Sylix from Metroid Prime Hunters. With speculation that Sylix will be a villain in Metroid Prime 4, the cutscene only teases the potential conflict between these two hunters. Metroid Prime 4's delay. Originally, Metroid Prime 4 was announced alongside Samus Returns during E3 of 2017. Not much was known about the game's development. Nintendo only confirmed that the game was being developed, with no insight on who was developing it or around what time frame the game would be released. However, on January 25th, 2019, Nintendo released a video addressing to the fans that Metroid Prime 4 would be delayed, with Shinya Takahashi stating that the game of Metroid Prime 4 had not reached the standards that they have sought for in a sequel, and that they would be restarting development from the beginning and handed the project over to Retro Studios to work on this game. The decision was made to ensure that the game would meet the high standards and expectations that fans deserved, and since then not much is known about the development of Metroid Prime 4. Dark Samus in Metroid Prime 1. Dark Samus made her first full appearance in Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, with her trophy info from Smash Bros stating that Echoes was her first full appearance. However, in the 100% completion ending of the first Metroid Prime game, we see that the arm of Dark Samus emerges from a pool of Phazon, and even though it sports a completely different design, having an eye in her hand with the color scheme looking closer to the Phazon suit, this does make the first Prime game officially her first real appearance. All the Prime games happen in between the first two games. The Metroid Prime games take place within the larger timeline of the Metroid universe. While the exact time frame within the timeline is not explicitly stated, it's generally understood that the events of the Prime games occur between the story of the original NES Metroid and Metroid 2 Return of Samus. There has been misconceptions about the series taking place in a separate timeline or continuity, but Sakamoto has made an official statement confirming the placement of the Prime games, and Nintendo has released their own timeline visuals that include the Prime games within their timeline. Metroid is a girl? This ironic meme stems from a common misconception amongst people who are not familiar with the Metroid series or Samus Aran. Early manuals and advertisements used male pronouns when referring to Samus, and the bulky armor hid her true identity until the game revealed it as a completion award. Later entries will no longer make the effort in hiding Samus' identity, but to some people's perspectives, damage has been done. The other half of this meme is people referring to Samus as Metroid, but confusing the protagonist's name with the game title is something that plagues many game characters to this day. But for some examples, Link and Zelda, Pit and Kid Icarus, and Master Chief with Halo. Ridley is too big. The Ridley is too big meme is a meme that originated from a discussion amongst fans of Super Smash Bros. Regarding the potential inclusion of Ridley. Ridley has always been depicted as a large, menacing villain that towers over Samus. Thus, some fans argued that Ridley's size would make him impractical and unbalanced as a playable character. It didn't help the fans who wanted Ridley as a playable character to have Ridley appear as a boss in the Subspace Emissary and a stage hazard in the Pyrosphere stage. Even Masahiro Sakurai stated that scaling down Ridley would lose what made Ridley so threatening. Thankfully though, this discussion would come to an end with Ridley's inclusion in Smash Bros. Ultimate, where Sakurai took modeling inspiration from the NES Metroid sprite for scaling. Metroid Dread rumors. Originally, Metroid Dread was first announced in June 2005 in an issue of Game Informer, but since then, Nintendo has spoken very little of the game's progress. Because of this announcement, various rumors about the potential 2006 release date sprung up, with the prediction even appearing in an official Nintendo magazine. It wasn't until September 6, 2007, when Nintendo confirmed that the game was cancelled by stating officially that Nintendo is not making a 2D Metroid game at this point. Ridley's name. It's no secret that the Alien film series influenced major story beats in Metroid. It's actually its own entry deeper in the iceberg. But because of this influence, it is believed that Ridley is named after Ridley Scott, the man who was the director of the first Alien film. With Ridley design having some loose similarities with xenomorphs, it's possible that he's named Ridley to pay homage to the director. NES limitations created the Morph Ball. The Morph Ball is one of Samus' most recognizable and iconic upgrades, but it only came into existence due to Nintendo's programmers not knowing how to animate Samus' crawling sprite. The NES era of gaming had tons of technical issues and limitations due to the hardware, but it's definitely fascinating to see the developers roll with the punches with these limitations to create a unique workaround as a solution. Barrier Suit. Besides the Morph Ball, the Varia suit is one of Samus' more recognizable and iconic suit and upgrades, as it's seen in practically all the Metroid games, and is mostly seen as Samus' default suit. However, the word Varia is actually a result of a mistranslation of the word barrier, as the suit in Japanese is called the Barrier suit. When listening to the translation, it's pretty easy to see how the word Baria and Varia kinda got mixed up in translation when localized in the West.
Barrier. Baria.
But I think the mistake was a good choice in the long run, as the word Varia kinda made the suit seem more alien-like than the term barrier. Kim Basinger and Sigourney Weaver. In an interview about Super Metroid, Yoshio Sakamoto revealed that both Sigourney Weaver and Kim Basinger both influenced and inspired the design of Samus. Samus was described to be like Ellen Ripley, but more extravagant, and Sigourney Weaver played Ripley, so this furthers the alien influence over Metroid, while Kim Basinger was said to have the most resemblance to Samus physically. Speedrunning. The Metroid series has developed a huge community of people competing to beat the game as fast as possible. From the very start of the series, the game has encouraged gamers to complete the game as efficiently as possible, with the reward of revealing Samus' identity. And the open-ended nature of the map allowed players to skip portions of the map if they were skilled enough. And with the community developing some more advanced and unique speedrunning techniques, it was not only fun trying to practice and master some of these new skills, but also very fun and intriguing to watch as a casual player, making speedrunning Metroid a highlight for various speedrunning events. It's likely that speedrunning wouldn't be where it is right now if it wasn't for Metroid leading the way. Double Arm Cannon Amiibo. The double arm cannon amiibo was an amiibo misprint that had Samus with 2 arm cannons. The person who found this misprint at Best Buy bought it for only $13 and sold it on eBay for $2,500. Personally, I would never have sold it because the figure looks so cool with 2 arm cannons. It's basically double the firepower. But it's cool that he made a profit regardless. But this does make me wonder though, if there's a figure out there of 2 left arms. Ship decals. In Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, the player can use credits in the bonus gallery to unlock decals for Samus' gunship. Based on what game save files are found on the console, you can unlock stickers that reference games like Excitebike, Wii Sports, WarioWare, Smash Bros, and more. There's even a bobblehead of the player's Mii that can be unlocked and seen inside Samus' gunship. It's a cool bonus feature, but I love the idea of Samus taking her gunship to the shop to customize her ride with neat little stickers. Castlevania. Similar to Metroid, Castlevania had gameplay that featured large interconnected maps that required players to acquire items and upgrades to gain access to deeper parts of the map. With titles like Simon's Quest and Symphony of the Night releasing around the same time as NES Metroid and Super Metroid, the portmanteau of Metroidvania was created to describe this genre and style of games. Interesting enough though, while researching this topic, Symphony of the Night was more inspired by Legend of Zelda than Metroid, and the term Zeldavania would have been a more accurate term, but since Zelda was a top-down perspective game, while Metroid and Castlevania were both side-scrollers, it just seemed more logical to use Metroid as a comparison, and the term Metroidvania just stuck more. Although Castletroid is also an accepted term, but I've never heard of Castletroid before. But that's just the top layer of the iceberg. There's still a lot to go right now. We haven't even actually touched the iceberg itself. And as I mentioned before, as we get deeper into the iceberg, the lore, facts, and details get much more obscure and unknown. So I hope you're as excited as I am to continue on this series of videos. Although I gotta say I'm sorry for taking so long to actually get to this video and all that. Since I made the iceberg as I was editing, writing, and recording, I kept on changing things around the iceberg because I kept on finding new things, or it felt like things should be shifted around because I felt like maybe they're not as obscure as I think they are, or maybe they're more unknown as I think they are. Frick, my voice got really weird right there. I might be slightly sick too. But now that I completed the first layer of the iceberg, I feel very confident of where I placed all these little entries here and there and all that, so part 2 won't be too long to get to. Although if I do see enough comments of people suggesting other entries here and there throughout the series of videos, I will do one final edit of the iceberg to truly make it the ultimate Metroid iceberg. First of all, member shoutouts to ZDS Pro and Rose Mavic Sane for being channel members and supporting the channel. If you like Metroid content, feel free to subscribe to the channel as I make Metroid content regularly. If you want more Metroid content, feel free to click on the video above where we talk about the possibility of Sylix being an AI. I think the information there is really convincing, so I hope you check it out. If you want to support the channel, feel free to join the membership. You get access to cool little emotes to put in the comment section, you get early access to new videos, and you get a unique badge by your name. Starts off as a little Metroid egg and it slowly evolves into the SR38 evolution. With that being said, I'm the Metroid Trainer. Hope you like, favorite, subscribe, stick around for next time because I'll be seeing you later.